Oh. Hello everyone, my name is Chris and I'm going to tell you something about static websites today. I hope that English is fine for everyone. If you have any questions, just ask. You might say, why static website? Isn't that a little bit 2000? I'd say, yeah, we're a little bit past it. There's a lot of things with CMSs going on, WordPress being one of the most popular. But I think that static websites are having somewhat of a revival, especially if you don't need very big conglomerates. And I myself, I like static websites because I'm a little bit a lazy developer. I don't like to do a lot, especially when it's already finished. I don't like to take care about things running somewhere. So I really love the simplicity of it. So what are static websites? Basically, it's just HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, maybe some images going around, and there's no server-side execution needed for that. So we have a few very, very good benefits with static websites. We can cache them very good. We can use content delivery networks to distribute them all over the world, and because we don't need to generate real-time content. We have very good security because it's just static. Nothing's going to be executed on the server. We also can scale it very good because there's no execution on the server. And yeah. But we also have a few drawbacks. We cannot edit it very easily, so if you don't have someone who can edit HTML or who can cope with static website generators, it's a little bit of a hassle. And as I said before, you cannot generate dynamic content very easily, and you also don't want to use it for applications requiring executions on the server. So is it a war of faith then, if you should use static websites or dynamic websites? I think not. You should just take whatever is suitable for your needs and don't shoot with large-scale guns on small problems. It's just very simple. So a little bit of a mixture between those two worlds, static website generators. Has anybody of you ever worked with one of those? Yeah, so I think a lot of people in the community already use it for blogs and so on, because it's very easy to get the benefits of two worlds. You can use templates and yeah, predefined templates to render your content that you generate and create a static website from it. Now let me show you how to do that on AWS. First of all, we need a few services which are already available on AWS, and it's very cool because they are all serverless. I said before that I'm kind of lazy. I don't like to manage my own web server, my own Linux running somewhere, and I don't like to do OS patches and install a new software, install updates for CMSs, so that's all very cool. And AWS provides services where we don't need to do any of those things. So this is how we can reduce costs, dependencies, complexities, and we can also increase reliability, because literally we publish our static content and we don't need to take care afterwards. So which services are we going to use? First of all, we will use S3 to store our static content. We use CloudFront for the distribution, and Route 53 as a name server. If you have a few extensions and somewhat an exception to the rule of static websites, if you have dynamic content, you can use API gateway and lambdas to add some dynamic content to your static website, which is also very cool. So first of all, let me show you how that looks like. On S3, we will store all of our content, and CloudFront is acting as a cache or proxy in front of S3 and will deliver the content to the end users. And if you have dynamic content via lambdas, via API gateway, you also use CloudFront to route those requests to the API gateway. What is S3? It's a simple key value storage. It's very, very cheap. In the free tier plan, you have, I don't know, a lot of storage, so you basically don't need to pay for whatever you store there. It's used to store the files. It has simply website hosting built in, so if you don't need things like HTTPS or content distribution, you can just simply use S3 and host a website there. And you can also do redirects, which can come in very handy if you have multiple domains, for example, a www domain and the root domain, which should all display the same content. It's very easily configured. I'm going to show you an example how we at CloudFront use it. We have two buckets, one of which contains the actual website and another one which is doing a redirect to the root domain. So on CloudBrothers.io, we store the content, and the www CloudBrothers.io bucket just redirects to the CloudBrothers.io domain. Looks like this. There's the content stored, and we configure the S3 bucket with website hosting. This has a few benefits. I mean, you can use API gateway for website hosting, and you can also use S3 for website hosting. If you use S3, it has a few benefits, mainly that your index documents are properly used. So if you have some subfolder structure and you have an index file in each subfolder, you can the index files are properly served whenever the directory is requested. You also have to define how users can access your bucket. It's best to do that via a bucket policy, so that all new files being published to the bucket already have the right policy and can already be accessed by everyone. We also use CloudFront because we want to use a distributed network of our website, and we also want to use HTTPS, which is not available on the S3 website hosting. And it's a very cool thing because you can define smart caching strategies based on whatever content you deliver. For example, you can base your cache on specific headers or requests or query parameters, whatever you want. And you can also very, very easily invalidate those caches. So for example, if I publish a new version of my website, I simply tell my CloudFront distribution that this and this directory or this and these files should be invalidated, and CloudFront will from there on start to deliver the new versions of those files. The setup with us looks like this. For both of our buckets, we have a separate CloudFront distribution. The www CloudBrothers.io gets served by a distribution which redirects using the CloudFront, the S3 setting to the root domain, and the CloudBrothers.io distribution serves the actual website. It's very, very easily configured. You just basically need to specify an origin. You have to specify your caching settings, and you can also set up an SSL certificate from there. If you have already set up email, an email delivery system for your domain, so it's fairly straightforward, and you can get basically everything for free, the SSL certificate and the distribution by CloudFront. It's very, very cheap, and yeah. If you want to learn how to configure such a CloudFront distribution, I will publish a short video today where I will show it step by step how you can set it up and configure HTTPS.
You should probably mention that you're doing this through the certificate manager, right?
Yeah.
Because you didn't mention that.
Yeah, but you can do it via setting up the CloudFront distribution. So when you set it up, you can just click you want to use your own certificate, and you're being taken to the certificate manager, and it basically takes you step by step through the whole process. Yeah, yeah.
HTTPS comes.
Yeah,
as well,
yeah.
in case people don't know yet.
And then the last thing we use at Cloud Brothers is the Route 53, which acts as name server, and it's also very cool because I can almost instantly change the endpoints where my domains point to. So, for example, if I have my domains pointing to the free packet and I'll change it to the CloudFront distribution, it changes instantly, and I can serve from there on forth over HTTPS or whatever I want. The setup of the Route 53 looks like this. You just define all your DNS records there, and in the properties you can set an alias to your CloudFront distribution where you have set up your website, and it's being served via this domain. I recently started another project where I added a little bit of more complexity to static websites. What I wanted to do was redirect customers to Amazon stores, depending on where they're coming from. So, for example, if a customer is coming from the US market, he's being redirected to Amazon.com. If he's coming from Austria, he's being redirected to Amazon.de, and so on and so forth. And I built a little Lambda for this, which basically does the location, finding out the location of the user based on their IP address, and sends a redirect back via API gateway to send them to the correct store. And I can do this very easily with API gateway, setting up a second origin in my CloudFront distribution, which points to the API gateway, and a behavior which tells the CloudFront distribution that all requests starting with /p should be redirected to API gateway. And you can specify very precisely what you want to do with your requests, where you want to route them. So you can set up multiple origins for your distribution and source your websites both from static content and also from dynamic content or from other sources. The setting up the API gateway is also fairly easy. You just have to create a resource and hook it up with a Lambda function. If you use Lambda proxy integration, you can do it even easier when you want to do redirects, for example, because you can already send those redirects in the response of the Lambda response. And if you want to know more about this, you can talk to me afterwards. I can show it to you. It's very cool. A little bit more about me. I am a software engineer and co-founder of Appointment and Cloud Brothers, and I really love everything what's going on in the web and in the cloud. And yeah, I thank you very much for your attention.